it is my pleasure and my joy to introduce these wonderful four gentlemen that are such a blessing to my life. And we are at, like I said, we're actively working together on many projects. But I'm going to hand it over to Tom and Jim and David, and they're going to give us, and Tony, yes, you're going to as well participate, my friend, in a little bit of the history of the movement of ADA Watch, of David working with the founder that was Jim's mentor, right? Uh, so I'm going to hand it on over. And thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you for presenting, and thank you for your work because you guys are authentic leaders. I think she brought up a great point, the ivory tower. We're not about that. These are our leaders because they've taken the path they've blazed the trails before us. And so we do need to keep running down them. So I'm going to hand it over, guys. I'm going to shut up. Thank you for being here.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Hi, I'm Jim Ward, and I'm the executive director and founder of ADA Watch and the Coalition for Disability Rights and Justice. We were formed coming up on 25 years ago with Justin Dart as the chair of our National Advisory Council, and a council that included leaders like Judy Heumann and also leaders from the civil rights movement, Wade Henderson from the Leadership Conference, and Ralph Nees from People for the American Way, and other leaders. But most importantly, I think, is following Justin's lead. Justin was always good at reaching out and including the psychiatric survivors and in all that we did in disability rights. And I was happy our founding advisory council included David Oakes. Hello, David. And Ron Bassman and Jennifer Mathis and others. And along with Becky Ogle and Tony Coelho and other great leaders. And flash forward, well, I'll give you a little background on myself because I need to introduce myself. And I'm not known like Tom Olin, who's got a reputation that precedes us all really in this community. And so I started, giving away my age here, I started in the late 70s, straight out of high school, working what we then called the deinstitutionalization movement and the quote normalization movement. And I worked in upstate New York, helping folks move back into their communities from abusive institutions like Willowbrook and Letchworth Village. And it wasn't quite normal, you know, we had 12 people in a house and jammed into a van and went to McDonald's and things like that together, you know, but by far it was a great change from the abuses that were uncovered just years prior to that by Geraldo Rivera when he went in and exposed just horrific conditions at Willowbrook. And that led to the first protection and advocacy laws. So I was very happy to be a part of that as a young man, and flash ahead to my work as an elected official, and I was executive director of the Vermont Democratic Party, where I hit bottom with depression and alcoholism coming up on 30 years ago now. And what had been a serious calling for me became much more personal when I was told, when I was hospitalized, that I had a broken brain, that I would be on medication for the rest of my life, and that I shouldn't have children. And I'm happy to say I had my oldest son, Zach, over last night. He just turned 21, and he's getting engaged and getting married, and you know, the children I wasn't supposed to have. And that, you know, that really taught me that nobody should be taught to lower their expectations and their ambitions based on a disability or a assigned disability. But anyhow, that's, we took a break for a while. I was raising my boys, and when I got a phone call from the Ford Foundation, getting ADA Watch back in action, and building our coalition again of organizations from ADAPT to CCD to PVA and the likes. I just, before turning it over to my colleagues, I just want to say, as we look at what's going on now, disability rights used to be bipartisan, and I'm questioning whether they still are bipartisan. The Republican Party is claiming a mandate and pushing through things that really aren't supported nationally, aren't supported by folks. What it reminds us is we really need to be involved in campaign finance reform. We really need to get money out of politics because it's really allowing the special interests to lead the day and to forget about our people, about poor people, about people who are losing their voice. And it's sad now, 40 years later, that we're seeing the threat of being sent back to institutions. Medicaid pays for the durable goods and services that allow us to live in our own homes instead of nursing homes and potentially abusive institutions. So as I said to Tom earlier, we're fighting for the same things we thought we won decades ago. But I have to mention too, as I turned it over to Tom, that I was very grateful that Tom and I put the Road to Freedom bus on the road together. We traveled for 18 months. Tom continued after that, but my family and I and Tom traveled for 18 months. We went to every state capital in the country, and we were a part of getting the ADA Amendments Act passed, which put some of the teeth back in the ADA that had been weakened in the courts. So I'm very grateful to have had that time with Tom and grateful to be back in action. And please check us out at adawatch.org. We need your support. I look forward to working together. And Tom, over to you.
I put it in the chat, by the way. I put everybody's website and how to sign up for the newsletter into the chat.
There are some people in the waiting room, I hear. But anyhow,
Need to be let in?
Getting back, history is something that we all enjoy, and I got to be in front of a lot of moments, historical moments from it's just too much, and we're at a point where history can tell us what we have done before, just like Jim was saying. We did a lot with SAMHSA. We did a lot with the ADA, and the fight, and history is always bringing people together and having something done. And I think it's really, really important that we look at what we have done and say, yes, we can do this again, and we can do it with our friends. I think it's really important, to figure out what each of us are going to be doing and how we're going to be doing it, how to connect. There was easy times maybe before to connect. Now it seems like it's a little more difficult, and I hope our history can show us a little bit. But we got to also figure out what, our language has changed a little bit. We talk about leaders, and maybe what leaders were back then are a little different now. Now I look at leaders are people that bring people together. How we can bring not only those who are in our disability class, but also those that we haven't participated and been with. A lot of us haven't done prison work, and yet, a lot of our people are in prison. We still have a lot of people in different types of institutionalized ways, like guardianship. We have people that that are still in group homes, peer support homes and whatever. And we've kind of lost kind of track, I feel, with all these people. And so I think it's up to leaders to figure out how we come together. And I think that, that's a very good discussion that we all should have, and what leaders should be, but also what we should do. Who is talking about the same stuff that I am talking about, in our community. It doesn't have to be national. It can be just in our community, and finding ways that we can come together, because it all ends up, we're right now, we have this big big bill. Anyhow, that's in
The big ugly bill.
big ugly bill. That's in the representative. It probably will be passed at some point, and we are going to be hurt. And it's up to us to also look at those who are going to be hurt or are hurting, and be able to put that out. And because right now we know that it's going to be hurting people. It just hasn't hit the ground. Well, it has hit the ground already, and people are dying elsewhere in the world because of our cutting of aid and things like that. But it's more, I think it's just important for us to, discuss when we get together like this, to talk about how we can be better, how we can work now that everything is, like I said, things have changed, we have to find words and whatever, but that's my little gig for today.
Well, I just want to thank you because I think you're right. Finding those common issues, right? Like I think Liberators for Justice is one of those things that I most definitely would celebrate the most, because we came together under guardianship and we come from all different backgrounds to work together to fight guardianship. And so, that's something that I definitely look at the model of. And so that's beautiful, Tom. But I also want to look back in the past, because Justin Dart and David Oakes, worked together in the past, and they had some wonderful, wonderful connections. They had some common ground, and we need more of that, because I'm going to be honest with you, like the rest of the world just looks at all of us as disabled. They don't distinguish whether Tony and I were talking about this earlier. They don't say, you're an AB, you're this, you're that. We're all just disabled. And they are disregarding us, disrespecting us, and dehumanizing us now on a normalized level. And so it is time for us to come together and rise up. And David, I don't know if you're prepared to share a little bit of how you guys did in the history, really work together. And funny enough, uh, one quick little thing I just want to share is I had said to David, I'd really like to relaunch a program that you did back in the day called Amplified. Now, Jim Ward had actually named his campaign Amplified. And so this is a real like coming together moment that we knew we were meant to work together, just as Justin and David did in the past, and take it back up for the future. And so, David, would you like to share a little bit?
Yes.
So let me introduce Elijah.
Let me introduce Elijah.
I
Hello.
the camera though that you are there.
I can do that.
So Elijah's one of my 9 wonderful care workers.
I'm one of David's 9 wonderful care workers.
Super wonderful.
Super wonderful. Thank you,
So,
David.
Man,
Superman here. I appreciate you.
Tom, I know this horrible catastrophe just is happening right now.
Hold on. Tom, I know this horrible catastrophe is happening right now.
And maybe that bill might be stopped in the house.
And maybe that bill might be stopped in-house.
But it's still a catastrophe.
But it's still a catastrophe.
And I'd like to just to mention that we need to tell all of our groups
And I'd like to mention that we need to tell all of our groups
to please have some independent funding.
to please have some independent funding.
Mind Freedom and Adapt and NARPA
Mind Freedom, Adapt, and NARPA
are some of the few groups that have been independently funded.
are some of the few groups that have been independently funded.
There are many others.
There are many others,
But I'd say 99%.
but I'd say 99%
Of groups working on disability
of groups working on disability
and consumer survivors,
and consumer survivors,
mental health,
mental health,
they're dependent on government funding.
they're dependent on government funding.
And that funding's fine for alternatives.
And that funding is fine for
We
alternatives.
need more money,
And we need more money.
but for activism, we always knew
But for activism, we always knew
that the rug can be pulled out at any moment.
that the rug can be pulled out from any moment.
We know we need to really encourage independent fundraising.
We really need to encourage independent fundraising.
I'll just mention one more thing in that.
I'll just mention one more thing in that.
Cesar Chavez
Cesar Chavez,
working with poor farm workers.
working with poor farm workers,
He said, we'll get the kind of activism we're willing to fund.
said we'll get the kind of activism we are willing to fund.
Nickels, dimes.
Nickels, dimes,
I mean, they're way more valuable.
they're way more valuable
Independent activism
for independent activism
than millions for the bullshit that is happening.
than millions for the bullshit that's happening.
So we need to teach others they need this kind of fundraise.
So we need to teach others that they need this kind of
I
fundraising.
have a photograph there of me and Justin.
David has a photograph of him and Justin.
Let me say, yes, I love you all.
Let me say, yes, I love you all.
I mean, I discovered with Justin and Tom,
I discovered with Justin and Tom
many others,
and many others
that the main furnace
that the
of
main
active
furnace
was love.
was love.
Amazing, connecting with the physical disability movement.
Amazing connecting with the physical disability movement.
I'll just briefly say,
I'll just briefly say,
when I started this work,
when I started in this work
incredible, 49 years ago,
49 years ago,
we, of course, were very, very radical.
we were very, very radical.
And it was extremely important to reject any and all labels.
And it was extremely important to reject any and all labels.
Period.
Period.
Okay. Now, today, I recognize I have PTSD.
Now, today, I recognize I have PTSD.
I've seen a mental health counselor for 10 years.
I've seen a mental health counselor for 10 years.
He's blind, by the way.
He's blind, by the way.
Really helpful.
Really
working
helpful
with him.
working with him.
But it is very difficult
But it is very difficult
to bridge mental health and physical health.
to bridge mental health and physical health.
It ain't trivial.
It ain't trivial.
And a lot of physical disability leaders
And a lot of physical disability leaders
know about the difference between medical model
know the difference between medical model
and social model.
and social model.
So, but I go briefly, I'll just say this.
Briefly, I'll just say this.
I'm very interested
I'm very interested
in the C plus S movement.
in the C+S movement.
That is, people who are both mental health consumers
That is people who are both mental health consumers
and psychiatric survivors.
and psychiatric survivors.
Both.
Both.
We can connect, I think, more easily with the physical disability movement.
We can connect more easily, I think, with the physical disability movement.
And as a quad,
And as a
I
quad,
mean, I live this topic.
I live this topic.
I say this because
I say this because,
KK, I love you,
KK, I love you,
but I know mind freedom.
but I know mind freedom.
I've never been on the board,
I've never been on the board,
but you guys did want to appeal to more people.
but you guys did want to appeal to more people.
And so you changed the word revolution to transformation.
So you changed the word revolution to transformation.
But personally,
But personally,
and our Oregon Mind Freedom chapter,
in our Oregon Mind Freedom
and I
chapter,
know that you support us so much.
and I know KK, you support us so much.
We are still for nonviolent revolution.
We are still for nonviolent revolution.
Reform ain't enough.
Reform ain't enough.
So anyway, I am now working on climate issues.
So anyways, I'm now working on climate
what
issues
they call green disability.
and what I call green disability.
We sure need a revolution urgently.
We sure need a revolution urgently.
We're dealing with normal people are wrecking the planet.
Because normal people are wrecking the planet.
So yeah, but I'd love folks to pick my brain.
But I'd love for folks to pick my brain.
Tony is helping us in Oregon to build an Oregon Adapt.
Tony is helping us build an Oregon Adapt.
We'd like to see that nationally.
We'd like to see
That's
that
right.
nationally.
KK has a beautiful vision,
KK has a beautiful vision
pairing adapt and mind freedom
of pairing adapt and mind freedom
throughout the country.
throughout the country.
We need all both to work together.
We need both to work together.
So I just end by mentioning something Justin Darson
I'll just say something that Justin Dart said.
and his partner of them met by I know it's wonderful Yoshiko.
And his partner that I've never met, but I know is wonderful, Yoshiko.
They said the fire and the belly
They said the fire in the belly
of the whole disability movement
of the whole disability movement
is us psych survivors.
is us psych survivors.
I mean, our lives and liberty are at stake.
Our lives
every
and
day,
liberty are at stake every day,
and it's getting worse.
and it's getting worse.
So we're the fire in the belly.
So we're the fire in the belly.
We need to connect with all movements for justice.
We need to connect with all movements for justice.
And if someone refuses,
And if someone refuses
I'm not disabled.
and says, oh, well, I'm
I
not
will be
disabled,
part of you,
I won't be part of you,
they're not part of our movement.
then they're just not part of our movement.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
That's right.
Keep organizing.
Just keep organizing. Thanks.
Well, thank you, David, because I do want to highlight that he actually launched Amplify that went into Sills independent living centers and really bridged this gap. David has always talked about building bridges. And so I just want to continue in that history and build those bridges. And that's exactly what we're looking to do. AD, I don't know if everybody's aware, but I actually used to work with Mr. Jim Ward at ADA Watch, and we used to talk about coming together, rehumanizing, reimagining, and reigniting these paths that, blazed before us. They burnt out. We need to take them back. And so it's really an honor to have, the opportunity for ADAPT ADA Watch and Mind Freedom to come together to do grassroots coalition building, to build out our affiliates and our chapters in unity. And I just want to introduce real quick Tony, who is going to be doing some of those ADAPT trainings in the different places and different states, along with some of the grassroots work that Jim and Tom and I are going to be taking on. To support ADA Watch and all of this, our community, guys, because I want to connect the dot of what David just said. So Tony, we both came together of the understanding we both institutionalized. It didn't matter that I'm an AB, as they like to call me, because I do joke and share that I'm a triple threat. I have 3 different kinds of disabilities, and psychiatric. I'm a psych survivor and in shock treatment and everything else. But I was actually born with a chromosomal birth defect, and so I actually fall under the IDD community. And but it doesn't matter. They're going to lock us all up. And we all need to come together under that about losing our rights, rehumanize, and relaunch the voice. So Tony, I'm going to throw up the slides from the last couple ADAPT actions that we've gotten some good shots at.
Thank you.
And so if you'd like to share a little bit, rock out, go.
Sure.
There you go.
My name is Guy Anthony Brooks, by it's spelled Guyantony. I am originally from Ghana, that's in West Africa. I came here 25 years ago as any immigrant looking to better himself. But along the way, I got involved in a motor vehicle accident and I got transitioned from one hospital to another hospital. Then in the hospital, they told me that I needed some surgery and my insurance wasn't valid or not. Whatever they said, it was just confusing. So they transitioned me into an institution where they said they'll do the surgery, which they did not. All they did was try to create this persona that I'm a violent person and all that. So along the way, as I was advocating for myself, I said, I cannot take this. And I met somebody who had been to the Independent Living Center in Philadelphia. So I took a ride with her. I met folks in the center, and everyone from the receptionist to the the superintendent was or had a disability. And I said, this is what we call family. So I got involved with activist in Philadelphia. And since then, I got positioned out into the community, into an accessible, affordable home in the community. So since then, I've just been an activist. And like flash forward till last week, or is it? Yeah, last week I was in DC. Oh, I've been to DC so many times. Tom, Jim know about it. KK knows about it. She's drawing up some films, pictures of us, of our previous. And that week it was raining, but last week it wasn't raining. It was hot, and I did send them recent videos of me being arrested as I put my body online for the cuts which are happening to Medicaid. And in the second video, you would notice that it's a video of 3 groups which came together to create a coalition to advocate for the Medicaid cuts. And like we said, it's not only affecting us, but it is affecting everybody into the future. The next day, who knows? I could go home and I could be told that my Medicaid services has been cut. I have to go back into an institution, which is a place that I don't want to live in. I lost good friends in the institution, which I don't want to be in one of those positions. Like everybody says, if when this Medicaid cut happens, we are all going back institutionalized, and we are not supposed to be institutionalized. We have the right to be in an accessible, affordable home integrated in the community. We have the right to services in the community. We have the right to go to the government, to our city halls, and petition them and let them know that accessibility, the ADA, which was signed back in 1990, is going to be, it's 35 years, and still, ever since we have been an activist, always we are still fighting for the same things. 8 years ago, it was the same thing. And we need to include everyone, be it a physical or invisible disability, because who knows when you get an invisible disability? Nobody knows. How can you communicate with somebody when you have an invisible visibility, which is making it difficult to communicate with somebody who thinks or believes that the world is theirs, but age is the number one disability as we look at it, and we are all aging every second. I mentioned it to KK earlier this afternoon when we were talking about what we've been going through. So, as an activist, that I have said I'll put my life on the line for what is right for me to live in the community, and my community is those who have accepted that no matter what in your life, we are disabled, and we have to involve, include all of us as one people. Forget about the color of your skin, forget about the part of the world you came to. We still we have accessibility issues worldwide. And it is not just America which is experiencing that. And we should find a way, like mind freedom, adapt, ADA watch. The UN, we should be able to go to the UN to petition the United Nations. Just as we can go to our city halls, we can go to our state capitals and petition them. And every day I think about accessibility. I wonder why the North couple steps of any capital in America is not accessible. Why? Is it that we are still excluded? It's
Yeah.
been 35 years. We are going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary in 15 years from now. We don't want to be fighting for the same thing. We have to be included at the table. So uh, I believe we, as the disabled community, we what's happening now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I just want to absolutely highlight, the chant, our homes, not nursing homes. That's the number one chant because guess what? That's where they want to put us all. Okay. And they're going to call it community based, and it's not. And we're all being dehumanized. All of our rights are being removed, and we must come together to really, really, um, reignite the awareness. I mean, I'm just so floored by how acceptable it almost has become. And so there's nothing like people power. And I'm going to be honest. I think that we need the bottom up, not the top down. And I think that by really cultivating these coalitions, absolutely getting people to trained and adapt organizing and activism, their nonviolent activism training, and um, going and connecting with the SILs and the greater IL community, the cross disability community. We can get heard. And I just love that Jim titled his campaign Amplified. It was right in lockstep with the training that we just redid, and we're looking to roll out to all SILs across the country. Because how come in all that time, as he said 45 years ago, we haven't been able to do that? He was able to do it that long ago, but we haven't since then. So we have to come together. The rest of the society is not discriminating what kind of disability. They just want to lock us all up and not have to address any of these issues because it's really heartbreaking. But I just want to thank everybody for sharing. I don't know, Tom or Jim, do you want to share a little bit more or anything else add on? Or David, before we kind of hand it over to the open dialogue and questions and conversation and maybe narrow down some of these areas where we can unite. That's right, the CRPD. That's right, Ms. Myra. Absolutely.
Well, KK, I just wanted to amplify, if you will, your point about rehumanization during a time of dehumanization and division, because it really transcends issues of disability, it transcends issues of psychiatric survivors, and it's really about our core humanity. And I used to avoid the F word. I didn't like it when people talked about fascism, but I think it's fair that there is creeping fascism going on in our country and the dangers of that. And I think as we talk about rehumanization and revaluing and advocating for the worth and dignity of each individual, that we are an antidote to that fascism. And so I'm just grateful to be here with all you leaders as we try to put a human face on these issues and to demand that a so-called civilized society takes into account and responds to the very basic human needs. And I think, you know, as they cut Medicaid, as they cut everything that we depend on, the services we depend on, these are human rights issues. And I know rights are not popular with this administration or in this current environment, but we can't depend on who's in the White House. We can't depend on who's in Congress. It needs to be a fundamental human rights issue. And I'm grateful to be fighting this fight with you all.
Thank you so much, Jim. That you said it so right. It does come down, and I'm just going to be transparent. There was a leader that actually said, well, we need to put rights on the back burner right now as we're uh, fighting for funding and cuts. And I thought, wow, no, rights should never go on the back burner. That is a top tier number one. And that's where we need to hear from all of you, right? We need it to be the authentic voice of our community, right? And so I just really encourage everybody to engage in this dialogue. You know, we want to hear what your thoughts are. How do we come together? Any input or questions? Because like I said, they were able to do it in the past. We got to do it again, and we got to do it right and for good this time, because how we can't be discriminating against each other. Come on, we're all being dehumanized and losing our rights. And so, you know, I want to open it up, raise your hand, or put your questions in the chat, but I'm going to open it up to the dialogue and the questions. David, you have anything more to share?
Click. Yeah, thanks, KK.
Thanks, KK.
Love to hear from folks
I'd love to hear from folks.
and watch for our Zooms about working with both Mind Freedom and
Yep,
And watch for our Zooms about working with Mind Freedom and Adapt.
you got it. We're going to get it out there. You got my word. We're excited, and we are launching it and kicking it off so that we can amplify those voices of of the people for the people. And it comes down to people power, love, and rights, and the passion to fight because we have to. So I'm going to open it up.
One thing is,
I'll just mention our friend from Finland
I'll just mention our friend from Finland
talked about psych labels.
talked about psych labels.
Totally okay to reject all labels.
Totally okay to reject all labels.
We can still unite with the disability movement.
But we can still unite with the disability movement
Together.
all together.
We've always sought to connect with all movements.
We've always sought to connect with all movements.
A great definition of mad
A great definition of mad
is marginalized and disemboweled.
is marginalized and disempowered.
MAD.
MAD.
By the way, ADA
By the way, ADA
defines everybody
defines everybody
disabled.
as disabled.
Technically, any entity calls you disabled.
Technically, any entity calls you disabled.
That is disabled.
That is disabled.
Thanks, David.
Thank you so much. All right, go ahead, raise your hand, take your time, and let's talk about this. This is really important, and the time is now. So I'm glad everybody came, and feel free to raise your hand, speak up, flip your camera on, or put it in the chat. Don't be shy. There's no bad question.
No, and you can tell us what's happening in your community. You know, what's bringing people together? How are you bringing people together? That's important. Or is it that we have a lack of, that's one of the things that's happening is that we don't know what each other is doing. We don't have a
That's
way
right.
to communicate,
There's a disconnect.
It's a very, go ahead, let KK.
There's a disconnect. You're absolutely right. And there is a disconnect between community to community, and that's where that grassroots and community connection is really important. Michelle, would you like to start us off? And then Myra.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. My name is Michelle, and actually I was referred to you all from the Multnomah County Behavioral Health area in Portland, Oregon. And so I'm just a volunteer from Alcoholics Anonymous, and alcoholism is covered under the ADA. I suffer from that in addition to being bipolar. So all of these things are near and dear to my heart. And yeah, if I had been born, 30 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here, right? So I just wanted to make sure that we have provided information. Originally, we were just going to do this for the Portland area, but for any of your clients or individuals that you work with, AA.org goes through a lot of information about what alcoholism is and how alcoholism and Alcoholics Anonymous can actually provide support or meetings or literature or anything like that. So is that making sense? I'm sorry, I'm here. I'm seeing, I'm sorry, I saw a shaking head. Sorry.
No, absolutely. It is absolutely. I know that quite a few of us are in recovery as well. And so we absolutely identify. I'm not really sure about the support and I didn't know, but I appreciate you sharing that very, very much.
Sorry, yeah, not really relevant for the forum, but I just
No.
wanted to make sure that,
I'm
there's
glad you did
information.
highlight that. That's so important. Thank you.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
put it in the chat. Okay, thanks so much.
Well, and I
Myra.
want to thank you and just celebrate together. This will be my 30th year of continuous sobriety, so
There you go.
grateful to celebrate with you all.
this is where there's more crossover than what I think most all of us. We're not just one, right? Like there's, as a human, we carry many different elements to us. And that Jim and I were just talking about that the other day. You know, individuals in recovery, that right there falls under the ADA. So Myra and then Jennifer, thank you so much. And thank you, Michelle, for sharing. Appreciate it so much. Unmute, Myra. Unmute.
Thank you, KK, and thanks everyone to being here. It's so wonderful to see this group come together again. It's just amazing. I just wanted to share that one of the areas of activism that I've been working on for the last 4 or 5 years has been among feminists, because I really thought that the women who are fighting for our bodies, our choice, you know, that abortion rights movement would understand that those of us with being labeled with mental health disabilities, that they would understand that we ought to have choice over our bodies as well. And I just wanted to share that they don't. They don't get it, and I don't understand it. I found I'm on the board of the local chapter of the National Organization for Women, and I've been completely shut down there except by a Black woman who's our tech person, publicity person, and one lesbian. And the rest of them simply don't get it. I'm shocked. In fact, they've turned against me because I've outed myself as a survivor, and they discriminate against me because they think I'm paranoid or whatever they think. And so that's one part. And I'm also part of an end abortion stigma group locally in my hometown in Ithaca, New York. And there I've found two strong allies. And I was recognized as being a stand-up woman in my community for my efforts to abolish forced psychiatry for the last 50 years of my life, or 47 years. So that's pretty cool, but it doesn't change anything. And some of my artwork was on display in the National Women's Hall of Fame in Seneca Falls for from November until April, which was also pretty cool, but it doesn't change anything. So I'm shocked. I just wanted to share that I simply don't get it, that feminists don't understand. I'm completely blown away. And I've really tried. I've really tried. I'm done. Thanks.
No, can you share just very briefly your work with CRPD? Because you did put it in the chat, so I would like to highlight that because that very much does matter and it is an
Well,
impact.
that is, you know, what, what I mean, Tom was there, and um, you know, it's more known, a little bit more known what went on there, but basically there, what happened, I was the a UN representative for Mind Freedom from 2002, I think, until 2008. And the convention, the text was adopted in December of 2006 and then entered into force, which means that 20 countries ratified it in May 2008. And some of you may know, in real life, I'm a classical harpist, and I had the honor of playing my harp in the General Assembly Hall at the UN at the celebration of the entry into force of the convention. That was a highlight of my life. Didn't change anything either, but you know, it was fun. Um, um, so the way that that came about, and I did a presentation,
Yeah.
I think it's last month for Judy's Room,
Nope, May.
May, sorry, about the CRPD. And it's sort of, I call it CRPD 101, or Let the Revolution Begin, or whatever. Anyway, it explains in plain language what actually happened there. But the process is the same as what we're all talking about here. The
Right.
details I don't want to talk about right now, but
I-
the process was, and Mind Freedom, I have to say, Mind Freedom was initially opposed to this process. Mind Freedom was advocating to have a separate mental health caucus, but Tina Minkowitz from World Network of Users and Survivors overrode Mind Freedom, and I wasn't part of it at that time. It was in 2001. I didn't get involved till 2002. But anyway, she overrode and put all of us insisted that we were all part of the International Disability Caucus. And there were about 800 of us at meetings in New York. Tom came and took photographs, and unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how many thousand photographs, Tom. They're brilliant. And I've been sending them around to people all over the place, not all of them, but um, some some people actually requested all of them. I did have your DVD copied and sent to one of the representatives from the New Zealand government, who was also from World Network of Users and Survivors, and I'm going to name her. It's Chris Hansen. We've got to get her involved here. She's a brilliant genius. She's right now running the international,
I-
intentional
care
support.
support. Yep.
Sherry Mead's project. She's Sherry's wife. So, and Sherry is not well. So, Chris is just amazing. She has her hands full right now taking care of Sherry, and Chris has got a couple kids besides, but we have to get her on board with us.
You got it.
So what happened was the International Disability Caucus came together and we supported them and they supported us. And
Right,
our
Tim.
strongest allies, and please make note of this, our strongest allies were from the World Federation of the Deaf, from the World
Mm.
Federation of the Deaf Blind, and from the World Blind Union.
Wow.
They were the strongest because they also get locked up and completely dismissed. They have no right to make decisions on their own. People think, oh, blind people can't vote because they can't read a ballot. Well, that's nonsense. You just put the ballot in Braille and people can read it, or, give it a Adobe Reader or whatever it is, reasonable
Yeah.
accommodation for God's sakes. But it's the same for us. And the gentleman who was at the time the chair of the whole International Disability Alliance, Lex Grandia. He's no longer alive, sadly, but he was the sweetest human being I've ever met in my life. Was born completely blind and with a severe enough hearing loss that they thought he was deaf, but he's not. He was able to hear with hearing aids. So he was the key to the success of the entire convention, in my opinion, of the
Well,
disability movement coming together. And
it's allies. You're
yes,
pointing out about the allies, how, they say we need to be bipartisan, right? Like they always say about bipartisan. Guess what? We need to find allies in all arenas. I love how David highlighted even the environmentalists. I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
any community that we can come together to elevate voice. But thank you, Myra, so much for reminding that.
Well,
That's a
I
big
also
point.
I want to
So
go
I
on.
also just want to say that Lex grew up in an institution like, he was like Helen Keller. He was had no human rights at all. And the guy was a sculptor. He played the piano. He had the most lovely wife, a beautiful family. I mean, unbelievable. And I got to tell one story and then I'm going to be quiet. But when I first got there, I saw this guy in a crumpled suit rocking back and forth like this in front of a computer. No, at a table. And I thought, oh my, my prejudiced self, okay, thought, oh my God, isn't it nice that somebody paid for this guy to come? Well, it was Lex. And nobody, the entire World Blind Union, every time people started to talk without passing the microphone, the Lex had a pocket talker without passing the microphone to the next speaker. Everybody said, wait, 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 wait. Lex has to hear too. It was unbelievable, beautiful experience. And it was mind blowing. I can't get over it still. And I'm so grateful to David for, I'm horrified about what happened to you, but I'm so grateful to you for sticking with us through all that you've been through.
Amen. I appreciate that. And Tom and then Jennifer.
Yeah, to go on with the UN with Myra, which was one of my favorite experiences also. And what that, the history, like I had been saying that, what we learned from that, was what I learned, and I think that what we all can learn is how we got along together. This was at the UN, a worldwide event, in the sense that people, I've never seen people work together as well and come together. And it's something that we have to do today. We trusted some of the people. I mean, we there were reasons why it worked, and it wasn't just because we're an ally. It was more than it was. It was that we wanted to work together. We wanted to get something done, and we trusted each other. We did not fight. I'm sure there were, we had, discussions, or, but we knew what the prize could be if we worked together, and we did it.
What can we learn from that, Tom? How can we adapt that to now? Because that's exactly, we need to learn from the history to absolutely do it again and rehumanize and really elevate basic rights. I think it comes down to basic rights. Jennifer.
I just wanted to officially introduce myself. Jim, I got to see you at the Mother's Day rally in DC. I don't think you saw me, but it's an honor to meet you. Tom, it's definitely an honor to meet you. I'm from Ohio. I work at the Center for Disability Empowerment, but I'm also the chair of the Ohio Olmsted Task Force. We were able to become, I think it's the only one in the country that's free of our agencies. We are a standalone 501c3. So we don't take money from anyone. So we are allowed to say more than the average bear. I absolutely love the work that I do. I take lessons from the National ADAPT organization. I've been at this for a little while, but I'm older, but didn't really get started in systems advocacy till I was older. So it's just an honor to meet both of you. I believe the Center for Disability Empowerment is having an ADA celebration in about a week. And I know, Tom, that some of your photos, I think you donated some of the photos to our group to be able to give them out to people that attend. There's, I think, a raffle going on. So thank you so much for doing that. I know you know our director, Sue. So it's just an honor to meet all of you. And KK, I met you the other day at the DRO, Disability Rights Ohio meeting. So it's just I just wanted to say that, to say hi. And this group is great out here. Hopefully I'll attend more often. I didn't even know you guys existed until, so I'm glad I found you. And let's just all stick together and get what we need to do done and just keep the fight. So thank you guys.
I am so glad you're here. You have no idea. I just sent you a chat. We have some dots to connect, darling. So I'm so glad you're here. And this is how, guys, we got to share each other's information. We have to. We have to amplify it, right? Like I encourage you all to sign up for Jim's newsletter too, because we're going to be working together. We're going to be pushing each other's info out. We're going to be collaborating and leading, absolute how we do this. We want to hear from everybody, but we want your words, your voices, not anybody else's. That's what we need to elevate to be heard. So thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad you're here. Spread the word and connect us further. Anybody else want to jump in and chat or raise your hand? Go right ahead and just speak up. Shy. I know a lot of you, and I know you all have thoughts and opinions. please feel free, guys. This is a safe space. If everybody's more comfortable, I can stop the recording for more open dialogue. But I would really like to have that free flow of dialogue. I do want to highlight, though, I'm keeping notes so that we can actually address some of this. Allyships, being diplomatic disruptors, and the related core rights issue, and out of community of love that we want rights for all of our community, period. So we'll fight for each other and with each other to have that. So I wrote that down. So I want to right away thank all of our panelists, everybody that did share. And I'm going to stop the recording if that's okay, because I feel like there might be a little more free flow of dialogue. So I'm going to end it right now. Okay.